Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's meetup. It is great to have you all here today. Before we get started with our main topic, just a few housekeeping items. It would be great if you just could keep your microphones muted during the presentation. But if you have any questions, just reach out as we go along. Just ask them. You can also put them into chat. We will have a look as you prefer. And as already mentioned, we will record this session and it will be shared in our meetup group later. Now, on to the main event. Since Microsoft Copilot launched, it has completely changed how we work. But up until now, sometimes we have been stuck in a basic loop, ask questions, get an answer, move on. And sometimes we feel that Copilot's answers are almost right, but not truly reusable. And today we are going to learn how to break that pattern. I'm very thrilled to welcome our guest speaker, Christoph Treehouse. Christoph has joined us today to present a fantastic one-hour session titled Copilot Notebooks, where prompting meets productivity. And he will show us how to move away from just chatting with AI to actually thinking, building, and collaborating with it. We will get a new approach to working with Copilot. Less magic, but more control, and a clear picture of how Copilot notebooks can become part of the daily practice. Christoph, thank you very much for being here today. And now the floor is all yours.
So guys, thanks for having me. And let's get ready to rumble with that stuff that is called Copilot Notebooks. By show of hands, who uses Copilot pages and Copilot notebooks on a daily basis? Anybody of you? You wouldn't? Okay. So, okay. I've got some of you that have already experienced with that stuff. So, let's get ready. So, we are talking about that stuff where prompting meets productivity from a Microsoft perspective, from my personal perspective. And of course, if you have any questions, just drop them and I try to get an answer on that. Beforehand, something about me. I'm a consultant and sparring partner at C-level. As you see, I'm one of the old guys. I've been with that stuff that is on-prem and all that stuff, and I'm an MVP in M65, and I'm one out of 6 MVPs worldwide on that silly stuff that is called Loop. Definitely, you're gonna have fun. And I'm always a Copilot generalist, and to be honest, you have to be realistic on all that stuff, and I'm both of them. I've been more than 30 years now in the IT stuff. It started in the Allianz Life Insurance IT department and bring me up to my 2 own companies today. And in the meantime, I've been with Microsoft around about 10 years. And to be honest, who knows for which BPOS stands? Business Productivity Online Suite, today known as Microsoft 365, and that has been introduced in Germany around about the early 2000s. And I'm the guy that has been built up all that marketing stuff around about the launch of that product at 2006. So I'm that old. Just get a look and get a hand on that kind that is called Copilot notebooks from a very realistic way. If you ask Copilot or ChatGPT what Copilot Notebook is all about, both of them came around with that stuff that is called a new feature in Microsoft 365, just 1 year old at the moment. And that kind of notebooks you're used to in the OneNote stuff and all that stuff. And it combines, at the end of the day, the logic of Copilot with the ideas of agents, reusable, and all that stuff. Microsoft definitions, which they came up last year at the MVP Summit in a session where I've just been in. They're just talking about like Copilot notebooks are your AI-powered notebook customized to the content that matters most to you. And notebook, as we are used to the word from OneNote, notebook, get really a crisp hand on that stuff that is frictionless, just drop in all your information puzzle pieces, rearrange them and all that stuff. And that is what sticks behind that kind of notebooks. So another Microsoft perspective, oops, it's getting darker and darker outside. Woohoo! Just to be honest, it's just your digital notebook stored in OneNote. You've got your everyday companion, which is called Copilot as it is. And we have got that kind of loop component we are using to think, plan, and create together, and that are portable against or portable from one app to the other and just not copy it, but just that kind of referencing on that stuff. If we got in classification of Copilot notebooks within all that Copilot cosmos, we've got on the one hand Microsoft 365 Copilot. We've got that kind of, that symbol stands for the Copilot pages and Copilot chat. Copilot chat, Copilot pages. If you stick onto the logos you see on your left-hand navigation rail, then we go heading into that kind that called is Microsoft 365 Copilot Notebooks. And I'm very happy that has been the first logo, the first symbol they have issued to the Copilot Notebooks, and it has never been changed within the last 30 months, which is pretty amazing in the Microsoft world that they don't change it within just a year. And on the other hand, we have got that kind that is called Copilot Cowork and Copilot Agents. So the Copilot notebooks sits between that kind of Copilot chat and Copilot pages and Copilot agents on the other. That is how you could sort it within the Microsoft 365 Copilot cosmos. So my definition of a Copilot notebook is like, we all use that kind of flight trolleys with that kind of drinking, eating, and all that stuff, which is stored in the trolley and which is carried around the stewardess and all that stuff down the galley in an airplane. And that contains, this trolley contains all my Microsoft 365 content I have access to. Either it has been created by me, or I've got access rights to that stuff. And that could be Loop, could be Teams items, could be PowerPoint, any SharePoint sites, folders, document libraries sitting within the SharePoint, Word, Excel, you name it. So that kind of Copilot notebook just can be fulfilled with any of that Microsoft 365 content we can get hands on. That's the idea. Just store it within the trolley and take the trolley with you. And that is that kind of a Copilot notebook. And in the latest edition, so since around about 6 or 8 weeks, we also can extend that kind of trolley with external URLs. Something that is sitting outside our M365 content, sitting outside our tenant, like any web page we can access to on any information puzzle piece or information artifact that is sitting on an external URL. The external URL is definitely down to a website. It could not be an user interface on an SAP system. It could not be a user interface on ServiceNow, which also has a URL. It's just website. So we have got on the one end, we've got the trolley with all that M365 content stored in. And on the other hand, we've got some external references that are built. If we want to run that kind of Copilot notebooks, we just have to have, on the one hand, we should own a Microsoft 365 Copilot license at the one end, and on the other hand, we just need to have Loop established within our tenant. And if one of those both pieces are in place, are not in place, we won't have access to Copilot pages and at the end to Copilot notebooks. And if it still doesn't work, it could be that on the admin side of that kind of your tenant, there has been a policy that has been disabled. So that could be because of the admin took the decision on external content, on the kind of governance, and on that offboarding processes and all that stuff. So if one of the admins has disabled, or on the other hand, has disabled this cloud policy, which means creating few Copilot pages and Copilot notebooks, it could be possible, or it is not be possible just to open up a notebook or just to use them. So if you are missing them and you're still get hands-on on Microsoft 365 Copilot license, just be kind, send a question to your IT admin and just ask, do you have disabled that kind of create in few Copilot pages? Okay, that's that kind of an technical. We have got many editions of the user interface of the Copilot notebooks within the last 6 or 7 months. Yvonne, how many iterations do you have recognized on that Copilot notebooks interface? 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9?
A lot. And to be honest, whenever I just do nothing, because I don't use Copilot notebooks every day, but if I do nothing for 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like, oh, it changed. Yeah. Something new.
Yeah, I think I've changed this the PowerPoint deck around about 8 or 9 times just to get the hands on the actual screenshots and all that stuff. That's really fuzzy, but we all get used to that speed of evaluation on that stuff. Okay, your Copilot notebooks sit within your Copilot environment. And no worries, there won't be only PowerPoint within this session. We are going to do that practical in a demo environment also. So on the one hand, we've got that great app launcher back, and within the app launcher, we've got that Copilot notebooks. And on the other hand, if you see it over here, I've got notebooks that has been created by me in the last for the last weeks and months. And on the other hand, we've got that kind of recommended suggestions based on all the activity Microsoft Graph knows about me and my interaction with people, with meetings, with content, with stuff and all that stuff, and builds up some suggestions on that kind. Hey, do you want to build up a Copilot notebook on loop components or on demo loop on all that stuff? And also you see there are references already taken. If I click on one of the 3 notebooks generated for me, they came alive. If I don't click on them, they're just gonna be wasted and show up in the next time. If I create a new notebook, it's that kind of a menu. Just give them the new child needs a name, and then that is one of the big points we have to talk about. Within Copilot notebooks, we are only working with references. There is no copied content. There's no double twice the Word file, twice an Excel file, pictures, all that stuff. We are just working with reference links, which means if I put references within my notebook and any of the original files or information artifact gets updated, it also will be reflected if I open up my Copilot notebook the next time. And that is one of the main difference to many other constructs I have, because that working with references means my notebook is always up to date. And as you can see over here, it's just files, it's meaning, it's sites. It could be many other stuff. At the end of the day, it could be work with nearly anything, could be just drop into my Copilot notebook. Same as we are used to since several years with our OneNote notebooks. So these guys are just OneNote is the old stuff, Copilot notebook is the cool new stuff, to be honest on that. You can also use drag and drop if we have that kind of, maybe we are running just a file server, something crazy like that. Just drag and drop, and it will be stored within the notebook and all that stuff. Yvonne, just get your question.
Just one question. So I really use a lot OneNote because I'm just used to it. But would you give me the advice to just replace it by using Copilot Notebook everywhere? Or
No.
is there a main difference?
The main difference is if you use OneNote in terms of storing your information, your ideas, your meeting stuff, and all that stuff, that will still be in place. Copilot Notebook it's a kind of, you can ground your working with Copilot on stuff like references and so on. You just use or still use your OneNote and just link them to a Copilot Notebook, because that is one of the upcoming features. Nowadays we can reference completely OneNote, a OneNote notebook, and then the upcoming days we will also be able just to reference a page within a OneNote notebook or a section within a OneNote notebook. So it's just a different set of features is between OneNote and the Copilot notebooks. But the idea is nearly the same. Just drop all your information artifacts within that stuff, unsorted, rearrange them, all that stuff. That is because, yeah, just choose the name notebook for both of them. It has really drives me crazy at the beginning. Now, to be honest, as I told you before, it's all about that kind of references. We are just referencing information artifacts that are stored within Microsoft 365 or that get uploaded within Microsoft 365 or that are sitting outside, like that URL I mentioned before. And if that web page I just reference on gets an update, also my notebook gets an update. And just see it over here. Reference are files and other content you want to work within your notebook too. It's a kind of a big grounding puzzle for working with Copilot, and just all your scattered information within, sitting in a Teams meeting, sitting within a OneNote page, sitting within your OneDrive, sitting within one of the document libraries of your favorite SharePoint site and stuff. Just drop them in and Copilot can work on that. You can, any idea how many references can be put into one Copilot notebook? It could be up to 300. We started a year ago with 30 references, and we ended up at today's, we have got 300 references, and I think they're gonna just move up that barrier up to 500, up to 1,000. If it sense, just make up our minds. So if I've started up, or if I bring up my Copilot notebook to life, we are just ready to use, and now I'm just quitting that kind of PowerPoint or desktop PowerPoint. We just build up our own Copilot notebook. Okay. So let's get ready to run a new Copilot notebook, and we call it DevTech Meeting Munich. So, and I've just dropped in some of the references, and you can see it puts here down over here. Oop. Seven, 8. Okay, create. Oh, should be funny. Should be also be nearly icon. Okay, we've got that astronaut over here. Create. And Copilot's just set up that Copilot notebook. I've got that. Yeah. And to be honest, a new interface has arrived. So, as always, we have got some surprises on that. Okay, from the left hand to the right hand navigation rail, it's a newly built up Copilot Notebook. I see my references over here that could be filtered, and the filter are just built up automatically by Copilot Notebook based on my reference links. And you see it over here. I just give you a chance to have a look on that. And if I make it a little bit bigger, we've got that reference links over here, and that is stuff that sticks within my Copilot pages, library, and all that stuff. So we have got that reference links. It could be filtered. We've got that suggested references that could be just built on that graphical information, all that stuff, like we added also on that stuff, reference added and all that stuff. Okay. So at the beginning, I've got that notebook, and I just can work with my Copilot chat against that references. So if I just here add references to that notebook, that is nearly clear. Generate a status deck. Just get hold of all that information within that Copilot notebook, and we give it a try on that stuff like build a deck. Keep your fingers crossed that anything is working like I want to. And in the meantime, as my Copilot guy is working on that, just can have that kind of more information on that. If we top down the top menu, we can dig into Copilot instructions like we are used with our normal Copilot, or a little workspace on that. So every Copilot notebook within my Copilot environment could have its own set of instructions. And as you can see over here, it could be up to 8,000 characters long. So what do I most, or what I recommend? One of my first steps is just with Copilot, write me down my Copilot instructions just for that kind of Copilot notebook, and it could be updated afterwards. So answer with that. He's still working on that. Okay. So we have that kind of Copilot instruction renaming. There have been recent things on that. But on the next hand, if I have that kind of project status deck creation steps, and it runs into an error, which more sometimes happens, we can add additional references. It's the same kind of thing as for, and we just give it some size, Copilot, add, and also some other stuff. I still have a meeting. Don't have a meeting over here in my. So if I dig into one of that sites, it reference around the whole stuff with is sitting in that site, like the document libraries, any additional information that lists and are stored in that site, the communication that are stored in that site, and all that stuff. Okay, so that could be that easy. If I don't get what I want to see, I just open up the I call it the Microsoft 365 File Explorer. Just give it something other stuff. Oops, that has been my fault. Select and add. So that's it. What that means. So if I just want to drop one of that references I've put open in, it's just behind the three dots. It's open and it's removed. So if I remove that, it will be the reference link will be removed. Nothing more is happening on that side. Okay, so.
Stop, I have one question.
Yeah.
Sometimes I try just to add one whole SharePoint container or one documents list, and it doesn't work. Does it have something to do with my tenant, with my settings, maybe? Because I have to edit manually, file by file.
File by file.
Yeah.
That seems to be a mistake that is sitting within your tenant or within your tenant settings. Because I haven't come around, or that obstacle haven't seen by me within the last few months.
Okay, so yeah, I will try it again.
Yeah, just give it a try, and if it doesn't work, just give me a call, and we're just gonna have a watch on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, you're welcome. So we have got the possibility to adding instruction, to add more references and all that stuff. And just to be honest, it all depends on my access rights. If I'm losing to any of that added references, if I'm losing the access rights, maybe because the link has been run out of his established time, all that stuff, at the moment, I don't get an error message. To be honest, one of my biggest concerns about that stuff, and it's just gonna drop away on that. Okay, so just give it another try. If you open up the next. DevTech Munich 7. So you're gonna see if you add an icon, it's pretty easy to get that stuff. But it's definitely a new interface. It has been changed since yesterday evening. Because I'm used to have that Copilot chat on the right-hand side. We've got some content in the middle. And we've got that other stuff on this side. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. That has been the user interface I left yesterday evening. And I think most of you are just getting used to this one. Okay. I've got that left hand, I've got that right hand, I've got that stuff in the middle. So that filters are automatically created based on our references. That type is being extended if I add any of the other stuff. Date, edit, date, modified, alphabetical, just to get my content sorted. Adding additional references has been shown up. Instruction we have been talking about. And create. Now we're gonna dig into the real cool stuff. You just can create based on Copilot and Co. on predefined artifacts formats. Another stuff within our Copilot notebook. Just give it a chance to be on the other stuff. So create means I can have an audio overview, mind maps, study guides, and all that stuff. And since some days I always get, I can also get an infographic, and that is really pretty cool stuff. We're gonna test that out in a few minutes. So I've got all the pages within. I can also create a new Copilot page, which is sitting within my Copilot notebook. It's more or less that stuff like getting a new Copilot page within my notebook. And as you are used to at the moment, which is definitely one of the bugs I've come around within the last 48 hours, I'm not able just to title the page. At the moment, all of my created pages are shown within like that kind of untitled, and took up to 24 hours just to pick the first line I've typed into as a title of the page. Maybe, yeah, it's not on your side, it's sitting on the Microsoft side. That is, consider changing to a header, yeah. Get that stuff into, like, I'm just copying that something there around. And lower it. So you can insert all the stuff you are used to on a loop page, like titles and code and task lists and all that stuff. That could be put on your Copilot page, and the Copilot page sits within your Copilot notebook. And as always, as any loop component sitting within our environment, it could be copied. It could be copied as a page link or as a component. And if I copy it as a component, it could be used within a Teams chat. It could be used within Outlook. It could be used within OneNote and all that stuff. So from a Copilot page, the content or the reference could be used within Teams and all that stuff. As you know, if you're familiar with Loop, if you copy a Loop component, it also is only a reference link. It's never a one-on-one copy of that stuff that's sitting within that page. And on the other hand, like any other Copilot page, I just can create a document in PDF, and I can have all that stuff with it. So just give the chance, like creating an audio overview. If I want to have an audio overview on my Copilot notebook, since around about 14 days, 2 weeks, we could change the language in a real big thread like Greek, Estonian, all that stuff. And if you change to any of the other languages, it drops down to classical, Serafina, a typical German girl's name, or Florian, all that stuff. And if you just drop back to English, it would be a wider range of change. We also have that kind of how should be the format and how should be the style and the duration. And you can have also instructions in that Copilot notebook how your audio recap should be built up. And if I generate that audio stuff, it takes up 2 minutes, that typical stuff. To be honest, audio review just works with Word files, with PDFs, with PowerPoint. It doesn't work with Excel, and it doesn't work with your SharePoint content. That's the limitation of that audio overview, because just make up your minds. How to build an audio overview of an Excel file with, I don't think, 12, 8 or 180 tabs, countless rows and countless tables on all that stuff. That doesn't make sense at all. So that audio overview is just on Word files, PowerPoints, PDFs, and OneNote. OneNotes also. Okay. Combining the generating audio overview. Ooh, come on, guy. Just hurry up. Okay. Looking for references. Any questions so far around about how that Copilot notebook stuff is built up? The typical question is, where is that kind stored? All your Copilot notebooks are stored in SharePoint and embedded in a user-owned container. They are not stored in OneDrive. They are not stored in SharePoint on a typical site. They are stored and combined with the user account SharePoint embedded. And if you are one of that guys that have to deal with that typical user account offboarding process, just make up your minds on all that stuff that could be stored in SharePoint embedded.
I have another question, Christoph. Yeah. You showed some, when you tap the menu of create, you have much more possibilities than I do have in my tenant. So is this also something that the admin restricted or set up?
If we click on that create, we have to have 2 things in mind. Just I'm running in a beta phase with my MVP tenant. We are just have a look onto. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna see some features you don't have in your tenant so far. And on the other hand, I'm just member of the Frontier program, which means I also have more stuff than if you are not on a Frontier firm.
Okay, got it.
to be honest, Yvonne, it's changing on an hourly basis. If I press F5 at 7 o'clock at this evening or 9 o'clock in this evening, it definitely will be changed then. So
it's great to see everything, because I can be happy to have that in maybe 2 months. Yeah, or at least 2 weeks, to be honest, because this new layout is rolling out at the moment, and I also have customers that are not partner or within the Frontier program, and they also see some of the features nowadays. So it's a mix of in which ring is your tenant located, are you enabled for preview features and all that stuff. So I've got that audio file. You see over here, you also created content, just picked it over here, and the audio file is available, or it lasts at least 4 weeks, and then it would be deleted because it's outdated, to be honest. So what can I do with my stuff? If it is run up, just give it here. I can save it to my OneDrive. I can share it from there. I delete this, and that is definitely one of the silliest things I've ever seen. I just can go to the playback speed, and the playback speed could be twice or half my normal tempo. And if you try to follow up an audio review that is running twice as fast as you have been speaking normal in the normal, that's really simple. It's funny. I have no clue what that stands for, but at the end of the day, I've got that round about 10 minutes, 41 audio review, and one of the pieces that should be coming up within the next month is also a video overview. So they're gonna build up with 2 comic characters which are talking about your personal Copilot notebook. That is really funny. It has been delayed because OpenAI has just disengaged with their Sora model, and all the stuff has been built on the Sora model, though they have to rework all their stuff that I have done. Okay, so that thing is sticked into my Copilot notebook and all that stuff. Something I'm really missing is I have no chance to rearrange my references. If I add a reference, it will be added at the top of the list, and that make up your mind. If you are running nearly around about 300 references, that would be really messed up on the left-hand side. So, to be honest, just keep that kind of reference links as short as possible within your stuff. So we're gonna give it another try on that create, and we're gonna just take a look if he is able just to get my infographic up and running. You see over here, he's just picking up the designer. He has got his instructions and he is up and running. And I'm just waiting up on that. So, to be honest, Copilot Notebook is that kind of trolley that container information puzzle pieces are referenced in. And if you keep your Copilot chat within the Copilot notebook working, all the references are that part of grounding that your Copilot chat is working on. There's no toggle like work IQ between web and work content. It's just, oh, that image would be possible. It's just all that stuff that is referenced within your Copilot notebook. That is the content all your work with the Copilot chat is based on. Just keep that in mind. This might take a moment, yeah. Any other questions so far? Okay. So, I'm just sticking back to my PowerPoint until, no, yeah, audio overview, as I told you, can be saved to OneDrive.
and it could be expires automatically after 4 weeks. Yeah, you can also create a mind map, which I always do. And we've got that kind of mind map which shows up how your Copilot notebook references are structured. Something like, just to make it Opsa, that has been Opa. I've been too quick on my that mind map is also running up or running out of time within 4 weeks. You can download the mind map here, is built it, and it shows up the structure of your different references based on that graphical interfaces and signal that are worked on. And I've got some references round about Microsoft Copilot. I've got some references, purpose and framing and all that stuff. And it builds up that mind map. And over here, just to be honest, that has been an infographic I've been generating yesterday on one of my older Copilot notebooks. And I to be honest, that's pretty cool on that stuff. Huh? In that kind of infographics we are all being seeing all day long on that LinkedIn post from some of that kind of influencers and co. And now you know it is based on mostly on Copilot notebooks and just generate me an infographic. That's it. So that's my infographic based on my Copilot notebook that has been built up in front of your eyes within the last 25 minutes. I think that is definitely pretty cool. I've not made any of that kind of. I've not extended the typical instructions and the prompt and all that stuff. I think that's pretty cool for that kind of getting an infographic done with all that scattered information around about all that stuff.
Are you
Who likes it?
Are you talking on this summit in Mainz?
Yes. I always enter the main stage. It should be my third appearance in Mainz. Yeah, I mostly have 3 or 4 sessions on that kind of summits. Maybe I'm that silly guy that have fun on a stage and just entertaining. Okay, so make up your mind what you can create on that stuff. And any content you have created within a Copilot notebook sits also within the Copilot notebook and is therefore stored in your SharePoint embedded container. No reference links to your OneDrive or all that other stuff. If you create content like a page, like an infographic or all that other stuff, that is also be stored within that Copilot notebook container, which is be stored and addicted to your account within SharePoint embedded. Okay, any questions round about that? Get that kind of stuff done here and all that stuff? Okay, so let's dig into some more of that stuff. Okay, we have got that quick create with Copilot notebook. Just stick back to that kind of on the Copilot side. If I'm searching within the Copilot, that has been also updated within the last minutes. Woohoo! A new interface. So maybe don't be surprised if you see it on tomorrow's morning. If I open up that library, which contains all Copilot pages, and on the other end, which contains all images that has been created by me. So I've got 2 untitled pages that has been created by me, one before our session and the last one that has been built up some minutes ago. And we've got that kind of images. And there you can see, I just gave it a try yesterday evening. So you see that the newly infographic and the latest infographic, and just have a look into the chat. Here one is, yeah. I've just coming back to your question here at the end of the session that has been dropped over here by within that stuff. Okay, any of your chats can be added to Copilot Notebook just behind the 3 dots. Add to a notebook, Teilnahme, search and that, DevTech Munich. And now this Copilot chat has been also a reference within my Copilot Notebook environment. And yeah, just go back to that stuff. Copilot Notebooks, here we go. Just give it an update. And it should be show up within the next minute. Okay, so that has been my. Oh, I just moved to the wrong. I will just show you up that mind map that has been built up yesterday by me. Yvonne, I don't think that you will get thunderstorms in Munich this day because they are still round about Münster.
That's great for us.
Yeah. So we've got that kind of mind map, as you have seen before, where I took my screens, and if I dig into one of them, you've got just build up a summary and all that stuff. And so I just go back to my DevTech Munich, Copilot Notebook. Yeah. Okay. So we have got that chats over here. It's definitely a new interface that has been rolled out within the last 60 minutes. And we've got that prompting over here, and which you can also generate is an automatic overview of your Copilot notebook. So if you open up your notebook and you just want to have a clue what has been changing, what are the main topics and all that stuff, you just can generate an overview. And you've got on the one hand that summary, and you've got on the other hand that kind of key insight, and just move from here on just to that kind of build up a presentation on that stuff, build up a document, infographic and all that stuff that has been on that create. And if you came back later, since Yvonne told you, I'm just working with the Copilot Notebook every 14 days. So if she come back on June the 16th, this kind of overview will automatically be updated and just incorporate any of that change that had been made on any of the references. So that's also that stuff then. So how about co-working on a Copilot notebook? You can share any of your Copilot notebooks with any guy within your tenant. There's no possibility to share extern. I just make up this window a little bit bigger. So you just can drop it into your Teams group, or you just drop into another name, and I'm just going to the demo treehouse and just make up your mind. All notebook content and links are shared. What will not be shared is my personal chat that I have with Copilot within the notebook, and also the audio overview will not be shared. That's it. So I just can invite the other guy, and that is something we are still used to from OneDrive, SharePoint, and all that stuff. And here's an editor, and I can also remove him. So on the other end, the demo treehouse just get an invitation to my Copilot notebook, and he sees his invitation on the start page. So if we go back to that Copilot notebooks overview, we've got that shared with you, and you see over here, these are all Copilot notebooks that has been shared with me, shared with some others, and you see it over here. So 22 minutes ago. Any questions so far? And just don't blame me that I'm a little bit surprised that the user interface has changed again within the last 24 hours for the second time. Yeah, okay. So you see over here, 2 members share and all that stuff. And you see over here all the menus you are used to within your Copilot interface. That's it at the end of the day. So, sharing typical use cases that I'm using my Copilot notebooks for. If you are running a project, you've got that kind of scattered information. We have got some stuff that are sitting within the project-related SharePoint side. We have got that kind of fixed meetings. We have got that kind of OneNotes where we are taking our notes. We have got that kind of several documents, document libraries sitting sometimes in OneDrive, sometimes hopefully in SharePoint, but maybe scattered around different SharePoint sites with all that kind of access rights and code. So that is one of the typical use cases. I mainly use them because I'm running multi-project task, like as a project manager, and I'm on duty for all the sub-projects. And I'm just building up my mind with all that deliverables within that sub-project, like meetings and task lists and new documents and all that stuff. And I'm just gathering all that information within one Copilot notebook and working with Copilot against that bunch of information, which I can't get hold on if I'm just digging into any of that sub-project side of stuff. All that kind of we have got on a regular basis to fix within our department or within our company or with 3 or 5 colleagues. And we have just that kind of scattered information. And that Copilot notebook is an ideal tool just to get all that scattered information within one working frame and get Copilot grounded and all that stuff. That are the kind of typical use cases. Especially if you have that kind of several meeting series, which with different outcomes like protocols, like PowerPoints and all that stuff. Then I'm using that stuff for the. How is it on desktop and mobile app? And that is pretty cool. Your Copilot notebooks also sit in your OneNote desktop app. So if you have built up a Copilot notebook in the Copilot app or within the Copilot interface on the browser, you will see it within your OneNote desktop, and you can also create a new Copilot notebook in your OneNote desktop app. And one of the latest features that has been added is Copilot Capture. Copilot Capture is sitting on my mobile phone. And if I open up OneNote on my mobile phone, then I've got that thing that is called capture. So capture everything that matters. So I can use it, and I've got a kitchen talk, whatever, just eating dinner with George and all that stuff. That could be like a machine that is recording our conversation, or that could be put in the middle, and I just can put pictures in and some personal notes and that stuff. And the OneNote app just stick that all stuff around and put it as a new Copilot page in one of my Copilot notebooks. That kind of that information that are always missing because they are just exchanged on the floor between meeting A to meeting B, between call A, between call B. They just came up and make up my mind. It's just an idea and it gets dropped and it's got picked on a white piece of paper and all that stuff. So Copilot Capture on your mobile phone, it's something like your mobile Copilot notebook personal assistant. That's kind of better. That has been rolled out 72 hours before. For 3 days, they have make up that big announcement, what's new in Copilot notebooks. And one of the features is that Copilot Capture. And to be honest, I've got test flight. I'm test flighting OneNote on that stuff. At the moment, it's just available on iOS-based devices. Android should be within the next 4 weeks. And if you have your Copilot, just have the OneNote app on that, and if your tenant is running within the Frontier program, just give it a try and capture something. That's really cool. Makes up my mind, blows up my mind. Now, that's a screenshot from one of my three phones, unfortunately in German, but keep all or recording all what is important to you. What's next or missing? Just given the bad side, missing from my point of view, I'm not able to reorder my references. That is one of the things I've just dropped into Corp, that, hey guys, just give me the chance to reorder my references. I'm also not able just to cluster my references, like just stick all Word files, all OneNote, into a cluster like we use the section within the Teams client. Recycling bin. If I delete any of that within the Copilot Notebook created content, it's a once in a lifetime click. If I delete that audio file, if I delete that Copilot page, if I delete that infographic, it's gone forever. I just want to have that OneNote pages as a reference. I just want to have that OneNote sections as a reference. And I also want to have meeting series as a reference. I just want to have the possibility, if I've got the meeting series around the last 12 months, just to get that on a choice list and get in. And I'm also missing third-party applications as reference that are running within my environment on Azure or whatever, like SAP, ServiceNow, that are all missing. And what's up next? I've got that video overview. I got also the possibility to link a Loop workspace as a reference. And as I mentioned before, OneNote pages and OneNote sections will be available as a reference within the next 2 or 3 month time frame, and at least, and therefore I'm really waiting since 12 months, lists. I also can reference a list to a Copilot notebook just to work on that kind of stuff, because Excel is a tool from yesterday. Lists is excellent serious. It's the cool stuff. Okay. Any questions so far? Ooh.
So Christoph, there's one question in the chat, and I think one great feature would be just to let Copilot Notebook give you an automatic created list of to-dos of whatever you should do based on your references.
Yeah, if you are quite clever, you can get that kind of references and that set of to-dos within the prompt with your Copilot. So it doesn't build up on an automatic base my open task on that, but you can just prompt Copilot and it will build up a task list on that within the Copilot notebook. Yeah. I hope that in a page I just created, for example, I could add a task list based on resources I referenced in my notebook. Yeah, that isn't on the timeline like content blocks and all that stuff and reference links and the task is on that. Yeah.
So there is an answer.
Try to prompt Copilot.
Yeah.
That seems to be an error because, to be honest, that Copilot notebook stuff is a little buggy nowadays. And it means you cannot write to the current notebook page. That is a typical issue that comes around. Just give it a try in around about 10 or 15 minutes. Sometimes that Copilot page is logged because that Copilot notebook and the overview in the background is just building up the newest information. And you don't see that kind of a locked information barrier, all that stuff. Well, sometimes it just takes some minutes to get unlocked your newly built up pages. Okay. So I hope you now have an idea how Copilot notebooks could evolve your daily work with that scattered information around about your tenants, your projects, your daily work, and where does it fit in the Microsoft 365 Copilot Cosmos? It's between your Copilot chat and Copilot pages, and on the other hand, that kind of agents. It's a box where you can ground on your Copilot actions on different storage location, different information pieces, formats, and all that stuff that are all sitting within your tenant, and on the other hand, which are sitting on external websites.
Thank you very much, Christoph.
One nice feature that I was thinking is to have better names. I mean, now Copilot is everywhere. When you're saying Copilot, you don't exactly know which Copilot you are referring to. You have the 365 Copilot. You have Copilot Notebooks. Now Copilot Capture, Copilot even in Notepad.
Yeah.
GitHub Copilot. So I think there is not one entry point into this world. There are scattered Copilots everywhere. And this is something that many people struggle every day. And many companies struggle to find their way, which Copilot to use. When you're saying Copilot, which one do you want me to use?
Yeah,
So,
which one of the 50 guys that are called Copilot should I go for? Is it the
exactly.
Copilot guy in Excel? Is it the Copilot guy in PowerPoint or not? But to be honest, the newly launched Copilot interface is just heading into the right direction. It's more that stuff on it's a new UX with all the guys under the hood.
Yeah, that would be nice. You have a common entry point.
Any other questions so far?
One thing I'm just curious about it. Is there a chance to monitor how many tokens are used?
No, and to be honest, I have no clue how many tokens I burn within my Copilot notebooks and the interaction within my Copilot notebooks.
Yeah, I'm always curious about those things and would like to know.
And how that is a profitable business for Microsoft. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And they're just a feature of your M365 Copilot Premium license, and they're not working on a pay-as-you-go or on a billing plan. So use them, burn them, give them hard times.
Yeah, but we can wait until this costs extra money.
Or maybe at the beginning of the next Microsoft fiscal year, which will be July 1st, within the next 4 weeks time frame.
I'm afraid so.
No. I have no idea, and I haven't heard any signals around that. So they are still trying to get that stuff landed, that kind of Copilot pages and Copilot notebooks, because as always, they are just rolling out features, and sometimes they are really buggy. And as you have seen in the Copilot notebooks, every day you open them up, you're just facing another new interface. Oh, that's really giving me hard times.
Yeah, everyone. And the most difficult part is that this is also happening on the customer sides. And instead of gaining customers, you're losing because you're getting tired with all these changes that you need to adapt to.
Yeah, to be honest, I've got the fortune just to deal all day long with that new stuff because it's my job. I don't have to do it besides my real accounting job or my sales job or any other stuff. So I'm the lucky one just to give it a try, throw it away and give it a try 24 hours later. Yeah. That's really the hard stuff of that kind of adoption and knowledge transfer and getting things landed. Yeah. And the speed of evolution on all that Copilot stuff is Ooh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
more than a rocket that is launching from the Cape Canaveral to the moon.
Yeah, it is exactly as you said. If an accountant start using that and every day he has to adapt to something new, then they won't have time to that. They will need to focus on their work. So that's a real problem right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if there are any question coming up within the next days, just drop me a direct message in LinkedIn and you will get an answer.
Christoph, on behalf, yeah, just go
And
ahead.
don't worry, there are no silly questions around about Copilot notebooks and all that stuff.
Thank you again for sharing your time and expertise with us today. I think it was fantastic, and I learned something new about Copilot Capture, is it called? So I will need to try that out. To everyone who attended, thank you for showing up and being part of this community. If you enjoyed today, please feel free to share your takeaways on LinkedIn. And don't forget to tag Christoph in our meetup group if you do so. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful rest evening and see you next time.
Have a nice one and thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Christoph.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.